It's time to ham up.
Now I gotta really try hard.
Shut it down! Somehow it's the best.
The YumChunks Podcast.
YumChunks!
Greetings, Atlanteans and denizens of the deep. Welcome to another episode of After the Credits. I am here with you. I'm Sean, and with me, as always, is Chris.
Uncomfortably close.
Uncomfortably close. And Matt.
Hey.
Perfectly close. The correct distance.
Far. Miles across town.
Yes.
Moving at the speed of internet.
But together in spirit. Close in spirit.
Speaking of close, Chris, you might want to get a little bit closer to the mic. Just for...
Oh, yeah.
There we go. I can hear you better.
I could feel them.
Dim the lights a little, Sean.
Yeah.
It feels like Sean's right in my ear, but Chris is like on the other side of the room.
Oh, really?
Yes. Well, you're a little bit better now.
It could be the setting on the mic. Was it supposed to be this one or that one?
Oh, that sounds better.
Oh. What about now?
That's a lot better.
Yeah.
I was recording incorrectly.
Great. Hey.
Do we want to just do everything over?
No, just keep all of that in.
Okay. This is behind the scenes here, folks. This is like bonus Blu-ray.
We got all these settings on mics and stuff that we never
professionals
know.
Here. Professionals at work. All right. Well, now that we're all here loud and clear, we just Merry Christmas. It's the post-holiday, I don't know.
It's
runoff.
It's that weird week between Christmas and New Year where like you lose all sense of time.
Yeah.
You don't know what day it is. Everything's
It's
wacky.
Thursday. It's Thursday.
If everyone works, or if you do work, then no one cares while you're at work. And if you don't work, you lose sense of the day. And like, what am I doing with my life?
When I go back to work, I'm not going to remember how to do it. That's always my fear.
It'll all have been forgotten. Well, hopefully everyone out there had a good holiday and got just what they wanted for Christmas. We here After the Credits, we got some good stuff. I did. I don't know about everyone else, actually. Maybe you guys
making some bold assumptions.
Yeah, I assume everyone was good and people loved them and gave them good presents. But I got some cool stuff. Actually, I wanted to at least mention one of the coolest things I got was Ryan, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. Ryan's my brother, everyone. That's why he gave me a gift.
He hates DC.
He gave me actually a signed copy of the script to The Room. Signed by Greg Sestero.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
so
incredible.
And I've been reading through some of it, and oh man, if you thought the film it's so hysterically awful.
I've read and seen the movie for The Disaster Artist, and they talk about a lot more in the book, but of just Greg talks about just like how much nonsense is in that original script.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you could kind of like as bad as the film is, obviously, like at least the actors playing the other characters don't all talk like Tommy. Mm-hmm. But in the script, everyone talks like Tommy. Like the diction and like the broken English, the whatever is like Lisa and Mark and everyone they all
it was the
like
version of the film we deserved.
Yeah. Anyways,
I wrote a play once, and they got performed at local college. And one of my criticisms, someone came to see it, and said every character sounds like they're just you. Well, what do you want from me? I've never written anything before.
Yeah, no, that is one of the hardest things to do as a writer, at least as a beginning writer, for sure. And someone like Tommy, who has probably never written anything before that script,
right?
It's just very, very apparent. But yeah, it's just great. It's a good fun, and it was a really cool gift. So, and then I got some. Oh, I got Assassin's Creed Odyssey, so I also started playing that, and that game's crazy.
Did you ever finish Origins that I gave you for free?
No, I did not.
Because it came with this mic that I'm still figuring out how to use.
I was going to say, as soon as you figure out how to use that mic as an expert, I'll start Origins. And it never happened.
How can you follow that highly cerebral storyline without the basis of Origins?
Yeah, I don't know. So it is overwhelming. I will say that game is freaking. Even from the first 10 minutes, I'm already like, there's too much. I don't know. There's too much. It's too big.
How much of it matters, though?
Yeah, I don't know. But that's been fun. Not that I've been playing a lot, but that's cool. But and then the rest of the Christmas is lots of games, board games and stuff. We don't talk too much about that on this cast, but lots of fun board games. So
You save that for your nerd cast.
this is respectable content here. But what about you guys? Did you guys get the pony that you all asked for?
I've been getting actual time off, which is nice.
Oh.
I haven't actually had real days off in a while. Kind of days where you wake up and you don't really know what you're going to do with the day. Like I've had a nice handful of those. I've also been I'm on break from school now. The 2-week break. I've worked a little bit in my side jobs. I was light board op on a production of Nutcracker Ballet, which I kind of hate. I'm not into ballet. It's really boring, but got to do lights on that. That was cool. But speaking of ballet, Nutcracker, I'll come back to that actually in a minute. But what did I get for Christmas? Well, Maeve got me. Are you guys familiar with the meme Big Chungus?
Kinda. I don't know. I don't think so.
All right. Well, a meme that's going around. It's this like photoshopped PS4 game called Big Chungus, and the cover has like a picture of like fat Bugs Bunny on it, and it's like I guess somebody like some aunt texted their nephew like, "Hey, what do you want for Christmas this year?" And he texted back a picture of Big Chungus.
I have seen that, and So
Maeve photoshopped a DVD cover of Big Chungus, like the full cover. So she made like a backside and everything, and put it on the DVD case. And it was just Good Burger. It was just the movie Good Burger, which I actually somehow had never owned before that. But yeah, it's ridiculous. And then she did another one. I don't know if you're familiar. This is more of a Tumblr thing, but the Turgle. Are you familiar with the Turgle?
No, I've never heard that one.
Okay, it was a meme on Tumblr of someone trying to like convince their brother that there was a Matt Damon movie called The Turgle, and like it was just like a running thing between them. And yeah, like he was totally in this movie The Turgle, and it totally exists. And then they took the cover of the Bourne Identity and photoshopped it so it said The Turgle.
That actually reminds me. Do you remember Thomas, Matt?
Thomas, which Thomas?
Thomas. So a couple of years ago, I rewatched Pocahontas or something, and I realized that Christian Bale's in it. And then your sister, I believe, went and photoshopped Thomas to the cover. Yeah.
Right. Well, that was because you were making the claim that Thomas
is the main character of that movie.
Of Pocahontas.
He is.
Okay.
He is.
All right.
I watched it again. I can prove this. He has the biggest character arc.
Anyway, so Maeve did the same thing with the Turgle. Made a photoshopped a DVD cover for the Turgle, and inside was just like a bootleg burned copy of Mac and Me. So
I actually saw that for the first time in its full length a couple weeks ago.
I still haven't seen it, so I'm going to soon. Maeve and I have been on our still on our Macaulay Culkin kick. Last night we're actually I don't know why I don't even think we consciously decided this, but I think we're trying to watch every single one of his movies. But last night we watched Saved with Jenna Malone and Mandy Moore. Yeah. Have you guys seen that movie?
I have not, but I know what it is. It's about like the like Jesus camp, right?
Yeah. I would not recommend it. I didn't think it was very good. Also, just purely from a Macaulay Culkin standpoint, not enough Macaulay Culkin, not enough for him to do. But I don't know. I just thought, it takes place at like a Christian school, like a high school, and it's kind of like it's a little bit Mean Girls kind of, but like I don't know. I think it's supposed to be biting commentary, but the depiction of like Christians is not like it's too cartoony and over the top to be really biting, and it kind of just has no edge to it. It kind of just, I don't know. Yeah, I want to recommend it. I didn't think it was that good. I know it's got kind of a cult following, but I wasn't really feeling it. But also on Christmas Day, we watched as much as we could tolerate of the Macaulay Culkin, the Nutcracker, which I don't know. Do you guys remember that was a thing?
No.
What? No. Like when he was a kid?
Yeah, when he was a kid.
Nope.
In the 90s, I remember seeing ads for this, and I think it was probably you get the VHS tape and it had trailers in front of it. You'd have to fast forward through. Like something I owned from Warner Brothers had the trailer for that, for the Macaulay Culkin Nutcracker, but basically I never saw it, and I'm glad I didn't, because it's so boring. But we it's on, I think it's on Netflix or Hulu. We put it on and we were skipping through it. We were just skipping to like, we'd watch a little bit and we'd go like, all right, fast forward. And when you fast forward on like Netflix, the little image pops up on the timeline to show you what's visually is happening. We'd be like, oh, that frame looks interesting, stop it there. And we'd pause it there, or we'd play for another few more minutes until we got bored, and so on. So we probably watched all said and done probably about 30-40 minutes of it. But I basically what happened, I think, from what it looks like, is they just found whatever the big national touring production at the time in the mid-90s was, and they just swapped some kid out for Macaulay Culkin. And you can really tell that he's just trying his hardest to get through the dance moves, which he obviously just learned, but you can also tell that they really dumbed down what it is that he was supposed to do. And you can also tell that, like, just from like people's body language and how they look like off stage, like nobody was happy that he was there. Like, can you imagine? Because like ballet takes so much work.
Yeah.
It takes so much dedication. It's so extreme. It's so physical, and like it just takes so much training to be good at ballet. And can you just imagine being like one of the few males who, because it's mostly it's a very female thing. But just being one of the few males in the company and working real hard, and then the studio shows up and says, hey, yeah, you're getting replaced by Macaulay Culkin. And, like, Macaulay Culkin doesn't even look comfortable with it, so, like, you can tell he probably didn't want to have anything to do with it. But it's just, like, it's just so weird. And, like, I could tell the studio going, like, all right, Christmas, Macaulay Culkin, people associate him with Christmas. And the Nutcracker is a Christmas thing that everyone, pretends that they like until they go see it, and then they realize they don't like it. And like, yeah, okay, kids, Christmas, Macaulay Culkin, this is a surefire thing. I feel like if it had been done today, it would have been a Fathom event, but like I remember in the 90s them pushing that thing really hard to try to sell tickets, and I almost feel like it's a scam. Like, so we watched
studio greed.
We watched as much of that as we could stomach, but that wasn't a whole lot.
Well, we're getting Macaulay Culkin to replace Vince. And everyone's going to tell that he is not trained for it.
Well, Macaulay Culkin has been on every like nerd channel ever. Maybe he'll come on ours too. That'd be great.
That'd be awesome.
And then this is unrelated, but I saw the movie Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh yeah, how was that? I want to see that.
It was good. I feel like it should have been a little better.
Okay.
It's a lot of it is like pretty cookie cutter biopic, and it kind of it's very safe. I feel like is the best word to describe it. And I feel like there's a they're on a piano and they play a couple notes. Oh, I know those notes. Those are the notes to "We Will Rock You." Okay, cut to them performing it for the first. Like, it's so obvious in those kind of things. It hits all the things that you like. It thinks it needs to be a crowd pleaser. But then I read stuff about the band and Freddie Mercury and some of the more interesting stories, and like it seems like they left out a lot of the more interesting, but also more kind of like racier or controversial Queen stories. And it's probably part of that is because everyone else in the band is still alive and they had like input on what got to be in the movie, so it kind of feels a little sanitized. But then on the flip side, the movie is really well put together and all the musical numbers are really like big and over the top. And then they do the Live Aid concert at the end, and it's a big CGI fest. Like they reconstruct it. It feels like they blew like half the budget on just like CGIing Live Fest, but because there's a lot of very obvious special effects shots, but it's pretty impressive. And it's just like Look, if you like Queen, it's a good time, but it's not really anything. It doesn't really elevate anything, you know. But I don't know. I guess it's worth a watch, I suppose.
I mean, that basically falls in line with what I heard about it. It was just the main actor that played Freddie Mercury was really good, and it seemed like he was trying to elevate what he had. But yeah, they were just playing it too safe, like the actual script, and so it just couldn't really jump to the heights that people expected.
Yeah, I think so. There are moments in the movie that kind of the brilliant parts kind of shine through the cracks. Like there's a particular scene that comes to mind where like they're facing the media. There's kind of this media frenzy about Freddie Mercury's sexuality and his lifestyle, and just the way that's filmed and edited is really visually interesting, and it sticks out because nothing else in the movie is like that. So you can kind of tell they wanted to go further with some of the more stylized stuff in the movie, but they probably couldn't or whatever. I don't know. So that's where you get the feeling that it could have been better, and it probably should have, but it's entertaining still. I had a good time. Saw it in the theater with a big couch. So,
cool.
You know,
yeah, I still want to see it at some point, but
yeah. Christopher.
Hi,
what's up?
Not much. How about you?
Hi, you're on.
He's
you're
busy
on the air.
staring longingly into my eyes right now,
reflecting off of his
amazing
thick glasses.
Is the back of his hand grazing your cheek ever so lovingly?
It is. It's fully embracing it.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I guess my big gift was the Switch. Kay got me a Switch for Christmas, and I have been dumping money into it ever since.
Yay, one of us.
Lots of people getting Switches. Lots of people I know getting Switches, and I feel left out, but at the same time I also heard that like just like getting going on a Switch and all the accessories that you need and getting any games for it, you're like, cool, I got the system, but I got to pay as much as the system costs to get.
Well, it's really Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers is the freaking money sink, really.
Well, if you want to do all this, well, I wouldn't call it hardcore, but like if you want to like play with the GameCube controllers or have multiple controllers and all that kind of stuff.
You also have to get the LAN adapter.
Well, if you want to play online, if you want to play all that stuff, which you don't have to do, but in general, like, you know, people who play Smash or like are into it want to, and I did to an extent, like, and a lot of the stuff was like sold out places, so it's even harder, or you're gonna have to pay more to get off eBay or, you know, whatever. But aside from that, I don't think it takes more startup than another system. Like if you just go bought Mario or Zelda, you'd be fine.
I don't know. I feel like for me, if I had one, I'd feel inclined to get all the stuff to make it. The fact that it's portable, you want to keep it safe.
Yeah, okay.
Right? So you're going to want screen protectors and cases and that kind of stuff. And the fact that it comes apart, and it just feels like there's more peripherals for this type of system where I buy a PS4, I put it on my cabinet, and it stays there. Yeah. Bam, you're set.
Yeah. You know? I agree. But when I was at GameStop buying some of the peripherals in a couple of games, I heard the guy behind the counter was just like, he was so high on the Switch and he was so excited about it, and he was just like, oh, they've already sold 25 million or whatever number they said in the 2 or 3 years it's been out. And he's like, and Sony's sitting here thinking they're so good with their 6. It's like, you do realize that people are going to stop buying this, right?
No,
like
people are going to buy 2 Switches.
The number doesn't like speed up; it slows down over time.
I mean, yeah, I love my Switch, but I also love my PlayStation. So it
wasn't meant to be a fan. Yeah. It was just like, it was such a misinformed thing, and I was just like, oh, I remember. Yeah. I remember when I worked at GameStop, and I was also very fanboy and.
You're in the know of the gaming industry. Sorry to be condescending to everyone
that works at GameStop, but you're idiots.
Yeah.
There's that. I watched that Kurt Russell Christmas Chronicles on Netflix.
Oh yeah, how was that?
It's about probably what you would expect, I guess. I mean, it was kind of a long movie.
I heard it was okay. That he was actually pretty good.
Yeah, but it's just Kurt Russell being weird Kurt Russell-y Santa Claus. I don't know, like he's some street-wise Santa Claus or something. I don't know what it was supposed to be. But
I like my Santa Clauses stuffy and uninformed of current events.
I like my Tim Allen Santa Clauses, clearly. No, I mean, it was all right. It was a run-of-the-mill Christmas movie. It's perfect for kids. And I mean, I was watching it at my grandmother's, and after the movie, or during the movie, we had to pause it because some people came over to the house, and I think we were discussing it, and we were just like, it's a little cringy for me.
Oh, yeah.
The kids are always saying exactly what you would expect a kid that's over enthusiastic for Christmas to say all the time. But no, it was a good Christmas movie. It was just that.
Well, we could go through Christmas withdrawals. I did kind of mean to see it. I never did. So maybe the next couple of days, to wean myself off of the holidays before the new year, I'll watch it.
I still haven't started Maniac. I keep meaning to, but then I've been rewatching Yu Yu Hakusho, and I'm at the good parts of that, so I've been kind of sucked in. And then, obviously, I'm super excited for the finale of Series of Unfortunate Events in a couple days.
That's right. That's soon.
I'm excited for that too, but you know what I'm excited for? Is that tomorrow they're supposedly tomorrow they're dropping, Black Mirror,
the movie, Bandersnatch,
the one where the choose your own adventure.
The choose your own adventure.
Is it a choose your own adventure? They made it just sound like it was a movie in the end.
No, it's a choose your own adventure.
You like
from
choose how the narrative branches and stuff.
I don't know about it.
Apparently, there's some kids' Netflix shows that have already been doing this choose your own adventure thing.
Also, Telltale took that Minecraft game that they made, and they put that on Netflix as well.
Oh, okay. So Netflix already has the infrastructure, and they've already been using it. So apparently, that's what this is. And the actual it's a 90-minute movie, and it's video game themed. Oh. So like that's the storyline. It has to do with like this new video game that
I'm excited to watch it and everything. However, I do want to state, I think that Black Mirror is wholly overrated.
I haven't seen every Black Mirror. I've seen episodes here and there.
I think calling something overrated is a garbage take.
Wow, thanks. No, it is.
You're
I mean, it absolutely is. Like, people talk this up. There's only a handful of actually good episodes, and then there's a bunch of garbage episodes. So, to me, it's overrated.
I don't know. I disagree with you entirely. Also, calling something overrated is just basing an opinion on everyone else's opinion. So, I don't know. It's pretty lazy.
Okay, would you prefer if I said it overall sucks? And there's a couple gems in there, but for the most part, those episodes are kind of dumb.
I still think you're wrong,
right.
though.
Well, that's I mean, so do you just want him to have your opinion then?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I keep up with things. Like I said, there are a couple good episodes, and I'll give the movie its fair go and try it out. And if I enjoy it, I enjoy it. If I don't, I don't. It is what it is. But.
Yeah, I haven't watched every episode, like I said, so I have no horse in the race. I'll watch it, enjoy it. The premise seems cool, so yeah, I'll check it out.
Other than that, I'm getting so close in Dragon Quest XI. I'm getting there. I'm actually getting there. There are things, Sean, that you probably won't anticipate that actually do happen, and I was like,
makes it more interesting.
A little bit, like it kind of reeled me back in a little bit, but. I got to be getting close. I'm slowly making progress.
Because
I got Kingdom Hearts in less than a month.
Oh, yeah. We all have Kingdom Hearts in less than a month. The world is not ready for it. Well, cool. Also, side note, are you going to watch Wish Kid, Chewy?
What?
Wish Kid?
The animated series starring Macaulay Culkin where he had a magical baseball glove that granted him wishes.
Wish Kid. Oh, is this a TV show?
Yeah, it's a TV show from the 90s. Just look it up later.
I'm looking it up right now.
We've lost him. We've lost him.
I don't know about this. How many episodes are there?
I don't know.
13.
There you go.
Jesus. I mean, that's a reasonable amount of episodes.
Yeah, I just thought of that. So anyway, side note, you could fill us in later what you think of those.
Was Macaulay Culkin in Gremlins?
No.
We have plenty of other movies to get through before we start getting to the fringe stuff. So we still have Page Master. We have My Girl. We got a lot of stuff.
My Girl.
Yeah.
Before we get into Aquaman, I just wanted to bring up, because we did briefly touch upon it before we started recording, but during Spider-Man trailers, we noticed kind of odd trailers for Spider-Man, and I could kind of understand why, because I think that film pretty much has a huge demographic. So it was the studio's opportunity, just like, everyone's going to go see this. Let's just throw every trailer we have.
I just took it as this was a Sony movie, and Sony makes a lot of...
Well, maybe that's true, too. But specifically, I remember the trailer for A Dog's Way Home and how awful it looked. And yes, awful's the right. I'm not going to pretend it didn't look awful. It looked really bad. Anyways, I just wanted to throw that out there.
So that's from the same person that made A Dog's Tale or whatever,
yeah,
the one about the respawning dog or whatever.
Respawning.
Yeah, no, that author very clearly knows what his market is, and he's just like bam.
I get like
he owns that market. I can't think of another person that's exploiting dog lovers as well as he is.
I guess, but all the dog lovers I know are also, I don't know, I don't think they're so naive to fall for that. Sorry. Kay, if you're listening to this some point in the future, Chris was definitely not pointing vaguely in your direction. Anyways,
I mean, see, me not being in the same room, I had no idea that was happening. So good job.
There was another one. I'm gonna find it. I think it was like Unbeliever, or it was some stupid thing.
God's Not Dead 5, Unbeliever,
and I could not discern what was going on in the trailer. It was the dumbest thing.
I mean, we're all cynical, jaded film people. Even though I don't think we're that film people, but we're still...
There was that, and then there was that one about the kid falling through the ice, where they basically showed the whole movie from him and his friends and having a good life, to him falling through the ice and his mother and everybody pulling for him, super religious, blah, 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 blah. All the way to him coming out of it.
No, movies that are marketed to seniors, seniors want to know exactly what they're getting in for before they buy them.
I guess that's
they
true.
They don't want things to be weird. And I speak from experience, having done movie night with seniors for several years. They don't want anything weird. They don't want any curveballs. They don't want anything but a happy ending. So if a trailer is going to suggest that danger, the trailer also needs to
show that they get out of it.
That danger is going to be solved and everything's going to be fine. So best bet for the studio to get their ticket sales, just here's the whole movie. Everything's going to work out. Don't worry about it. Just come and have a good time.
I don't want to generalize, but I'm going to generalize. Old people are awful. Like, and I don't mean a specific age. I just mean like this abstract notion of being an old person. Because I know plenty of people who are over 60, 70, or 80 who I don't consider old people, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It's a mindset.
Yes, but that mindset, I hope that's never me. But maybe it will be, and I won't even know it. Yeah. Anyways.
I'm not going to live past 50, so it's all right.
Hopefully by then we fully implemented the...
Head in a jar?
No, I was going to say the... what's that old Charleston Heston movie?
Planet of the Apes?
No, the one where the
Ten Commandments.
Old people were being chopped up. That was Charleston
Heston.
Oh,
Soylent Green?
Yeah, Soylent Green. Yes. Hopefully that's a thing by then.
Charlton Heston was in a lot of weird movies.
That was him, right?
Yeah, it was. All right. Well, anyways, now that we've got our holiday wishes all told, let's get into Aquaman. I'm going to get into some spoiler territory for all you DC fanboys. And woo! So get ready for maybe the most decisive episode of, after the credits as of yet.
That's not a good.
Well, I don't know, because we have not talked about this as of yet before this recording. So I honestly do not know what Chris's or Matt's opinions of this film are. But let me go. We're going to start it off by saying this film was not a poorly made film. This was not a poorly made film. It was adequately made. It was, it was fine. But I don't know if I disliked another film more than this one this year. It was stupid, but I still think Jurassic World was stupider. But just overall, I won't say I hated it, but I really did not like this movie. And I'll get into details later, but that's my big take.
All right, Chewy.
Chris,
you can go.
Okay, Chewy. And we'll have Chris follow it up. Although, I don't know, maybe Chewy liked it.
Don't you think we should go with Chris's opinion so I could, like...
Just shit. I mean, so you could just take a dump all over it? My opinion is it was good. It was just good.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it was well made. It has a lot of things that could have been done better. I think they were trying to play it a little too middle of the ground to kind of reel things back in. But overall, I mean, I enjoyed it. It gave me something that I don't see often or really at all in comic book movies, which was more of an adventure than just straight action. I don't know. Like when I was watching it, I was drawing a parallel to Indiana Jones 3, Last Crusade.
Yeah, I get where you're
in the
coming
sense
from.
of the adventure part of it, right? And I started thinking, I was like, can I even think of another comic book movie with an adventure like that? And the closest I came to Guardians of the Galaxy, but even that wasn't really an adventure. It was really just 3 action set pieces. So, but yeah, so that's my opinion.
I'll give. Okay, that's fair. I'll give you that. Matt, what do you?
Well, I'm pretty torn on this movie, and I will say I enjoyed it a good amount while I watched it, but I'm actually closer to
Really? Oh, no.
Yeah. And I was expecting Chris to be way more over the moon just by default. So, Chris, character growth, I applaud you.
I'm doing it, guys. I'm getting better every day.
The thing is that I enjoyed it a good amount. And part of that, I suspect, might have been the fact that I watched it in a full theater and the audience that I watched it with was really into it. But I've had a few days since I've seen it, and the more I think about it, the more like specific things I remember that I thought were stupid or didn't like about it. So I don't know. I'm a little torn. I guess I'll say this. I think at this point the movie should have been better than it is. If this movie had come out 5 years ago, I think like this is the kind of movie that I think if DC had started with, then they wouldn't be in the rut that they're trying to dig themselves out of. Like if they had just had like a Wonder Woman, which was great, one of these, and then maybe one other movie that was around the same quality as this movie, they would have had a decent base. That coupled with Man of Steel, which I'm not a huge fan of, but like that, they would have had a decent base to actually do, because I found myself going, all right, cool, Aquaman, like, awesome. I like this guy. I can't wait to see him in the Justice League. And then I remembered that I already saw Justice League, and went, oh man.
No, those memories are back.
Oh no. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess okay. I'm kind of split on it, but overall I enjoyed watching it. I didn't dislike it.
Okay. Well,
sounds like you did.
I'll try to sum a couple of my things that I think, at least big ideas of why I dislike it. I think a lot of it was to me, so much of the visuals, especially the characters, the special effects, I'm kind of speaking, the whole film was like the CGI Henry Cavill removed the lip. Like every character to me looked like there was some weird uncanniness to it. And I think maybe partially it was because so much of it was underwater, and with the hair stuff, and everyone just looked like there was this weird CGI sheen over everything that was very off-putting for me. I can't speak to specifics in terms of what they did or if they did anything. I do think they did something, like I said, but for some reason, so there was the kind of visual quality that just kind of turned me off a lot. And also just in general, it reminded me of the prequels too, the Star Wars prequels, in terms of it just as big CGI, like aside from the actual similarities in terms of locations, the Gungan city and like that's sure. But I think just in broader terms, just how much CGI and everything so bright, which is a good foil to what the problem with DC films, at least, the cliche is that it's so dark. So I understand it being bright, and overall that's fine, but it felt like it's inauthentic brightness, a kind of plasticness to it.
It's kind of just like how some of the other DC movies, there's just crap all over the screen. It kind of reminded me of Attack of the Clones a little bit at the end, where there's just like, even like the crab monsters are like those little walkie guys.
All of those,
and
like I don't know what's happening. It's just, I mean, I do know what's happening, but it's just like crazy visual special effects for the sake of this crazy visual special effects. And I'm not even, I obviously tons of films are guilty of that, so I'm not particularly saying Aquaman is the only film or the worst one. I just felt like it was so embedded in almost all parts of the film that it was hard for me to overlook. And then another thing, I think just another big thing is I think just it was just too long. It was a 2.5 hour film, and it did not need to be. I don't think. Like if they
Okay.
First of all, I think the first act was way too long. I don't even know if it was really the first act. It was most the whole first half of the movie before they kind of start the adventure part. Mm-hmm. And I do agree that the adventure part was maybe my favorite part, or at least it was the part that I was most engaged with, because I think it was a little different. You're right. And I hadn't thought about it in those terms specifically, but that might be why. Like kind of when they're going to the Italian little villa and stuff, like that was like, oh, and actually the action scene in that sequence, I enjoy it. That was probably my favorite action scene. So like once they got to that part, I was like, okay, this is kind of, but it took so long for them to even get there. And then the whole third act, I also felt was like, oh, okay, we're back to just crazy CG, maelstrom. So kind of big broad strokes. That's it. And then also just character wise, sure, I kind of liked Aquaman, but I overall did not feel he had any chemistry with Amber Heard, and just the other characters were just like, I'll
tell you, yeah, I that's on my list, my ever-growing list of things that I didn't like about the movie. I don't think that they had any chemistry at all. But also, Aquaman himself was like oddly one of my favorite things about the movie, and one of the things I disliked the most, because I don't feel like he did any Aquaman stuff.
I mean, I think he did all the Aquaman.
Well, okay, so this is like this is a question I actually have for maybe Chris, because I assume you know more about the comics. Like, so I just kind of assumed that all Atlanteans could talk to fish, but I guess not. Like, so is he a super powered even beyond being an Atlantean?
I mean, he has powers that a lot of Atlanteans don't have. I think in terms of strength, you'd find a lot of them can be comparable to him.
Well, it was a little bit confusing because this movie does a ton of world building,
yeah,
and it has all the different tribes, and it explains like some Atlanteans de-evolved and some evolved, and some can do things and others, and then like some of them have to wear space helmets full of water when they're on land.
I was confused.
Well, only the
like,
royalty
it doesn't
could be on land.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, there was I think they dropped that line maybe 2 or 3 times throughout the movie, but it was really just a line drop about how only those of like royal blood were really or had what it took to be able to survive without the water.
They had what it took. They had the guts.
they had what it took.
They were willing to go all the way.
Whatever you want.
By breathing.
Whatever it would take.
They were willing to pretend they weren't drowning. They had what it took. No, but I mean, the movie did a good job of establishing the fact that a lot of the people were different, but I don't feel like beat for beat through the story it did a good job establishing who could do what and who had what abilities and who was who, and that got a little obnoxious after a while.
Yeah, for sure. And I knew that they had explained away these lines, but I didn't remember the specifics, so I was constantly like, okay, they just had a shot particularly showing someone's suffocating because they don't have water, and then the very next shot is Patrick Wilson fine. So I was like, oh okay, I guess they're just different. I'm not sure why, but I was like, I'm just gonna assume I missed a line, and I was kind of okay with that. It was more just distracting than anything else. But just like just like going back to the superpowers again. So like, what's the girl's name? I don't even remember her name. Mara. So like again, she has superpowers beyond just being like,
what, the magic?
Yeah.
No, everybody has the potential of using magic.
She's a waterbender.
It's just she's learned in it.
Oh.
Okay, but does the movie tell us that?
No. Movie? What do you say for yourself?
I never picked that up. I never got that.
No.
That's one of the bigger
that's
problems
fine.
Is that like,
I mean, there are a couple other people that use magic throughout the movie.
But they were like, they had different powers though. Like that's what I was like. It almost felt like there was like you could be an Atlantean, or not even just an Atlantean, just a person under the sea, because not all sea people are Atlanteans, right? Mm-hmm. The politics of underwater world. But just like I don't know, just like Spider-Man is a superhero of walking humans, like Mara is a superhero of swimming water humans, right? Like she had powers that beyond, as well as a few of other ones, I guess.
Well, I mean, her royal blood makes it so, once again, she can go up on land where most of them can't without help, right? But But in terms of magic, she is one of the more powerful magic users. But in the DC pantheon or whatever, there are a lot of magic users.
Is that what it's just magic? That's the
it's magic.
Oh, okay.
That's cool, but
they're all magic users.
Movie doesn't. The movie didn't make that clear.
Yeah, it was more just like okay, she could do that. Why isn't she saving everyone?
I don't think this movie was made under the presumption that most of the people seeing it would be familiar with Aquaman lore. The reason why is because Aquaman historically has always been kind of a joking superhero in the public eye, and also the fact that they cast Jason Momoa as Aquaman, I think, is a giveaway of that, because I don't think that's what anybody would have pictured Aquaman to be.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I said that he is one of my favorite things and least favorite things about this movie, because I think he's entertaining. I think he's fun to watch, but like, he as a character in the movie, he's very just like buff, rough guy, smash things. I'm a muscle guy, man, and it didn't seem like he did anything clever with his sea powers. Like, I don't know what makes him that different.
Yeah, I mean, so the buff in the training, that is just him training. That like, obviously that's good that he did that, but anyone potentially could be a big, strong buff guy. But to me, the talking to the sea creatures is what makes him special, right?
Yes.
And at the end, I guess he talked to the weird squid kraken.
Julie Andrews.
Julie Andrews.
Yeah, Julie Andrews.
Was that really Julie Andrews?
Yeah, it really was.
She's in this over Mary Poppins.
Yes. She is in this over Mary Poppins.
She accidentally showed up to the wrong set.
Whatever. She's flexible. She won't.
Okay. Yeah. I agree. Like, it just didn't feel like it was Aquaman as much. It was just like, Jason Momoa he's just doing all this crazy stuff.
But I mean, isn't that kind of, going back to our Spider-Man talk last week, isn't that kind of what you were afraid that it would be, that Aquaman is someone special, when the thought of a hero is supposed to be anybody could be a hero, right? And that's kind of that thing. Is like, he's not super special. He does have special abilities, and he is of royal blood, but in terms of that, like, he's not unbeatable. He's not Superman. He any Atlantean could potentially work to his level.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but I think the discussion, maybe you're kind of confusing a little bit of kind of the arguments in terms of either how I've said them or how they kind of. I don't necessarily mean it's like he's special because he has powers or not. The idea that he's special as in he's the royalty, he's fate is destined to make him the hero. That's what I mean more special. Whereas Spider-Man, or the theming of the Spider-Man film, was less about fate and you're the chosen one, and it's just like, no, everyone's a hero. Obviously Spider-Man has superpowers. Like, that's not normal, right? But it's not about this powers as much as it's fun visually and it's fun entertainment wise. The film isn't about his powers, it's about him just embracing being a hero, and that ultimately anyone could be that, right? You just have to embrace it. Whereas I felt like this film, it was like all about embracing his noble role as a savior of the people, and that it was a God-given role, and that to me is not so much about the powers as it is about thematically about fate, and just like this idea of a chosen above all ye normal people. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean when I bring up those ideas. I don't know. It may not be super clear, but anyways.
I mean, it makes sense. And it would be hard to say that that's not true. But...
honestly, like, on our last episode, I talked about how I got that vibe. It didn't bother me as much as I thought it would. Even though I do think that was in this film a lot, it didn't. That's not what I disliked about this film. I can't say I liked it, but it wasn't one of the things that I was more critical of, was the theming of it and that message. Anyways, what else? What did you guys think of Jango Fett? He's a good Fett.
He's good.
Also, Willem Dafoe, I thought he was actually pretty good, but again, I was kind of confused as to like, just throughout the whole film, there's so many character moments that ultimately just don't make any sense. Like, it just felt like this is a superhero movie, so we got to have this moment. Like, why did Patrick Wilson of all times wait? Like, you've been betraying me this whole time. Wah, wah.
And what make sure he has a room with a view what does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know. and then
why is it significant enough for it to be repeated later? I don't
The reason
understand.
he kept him around was because he was still loyal to the throne to some degree, right? He was just like, I am the vizier, so I am going to do what's best for Atlantis as well, or to serve you, even though I'm secretly, pushing for you to be dethroned. So, I mean, he did help push all that forward.
He did.
Right?
So that's why I don't understand where Patrick Wilson all of a sudden is just like, oh, I knew all along, and I'm choosing now to arrest you.
And what does make sure he has a room with a view mean?
He doesn't.
There was a lot of those lines. There was a lot of moments like lines where is this.
There was actually a lot of bad line deliveries.
Yeah.
They were like when Aquaman saves the submarine from pirates. Permission to come aboard.
Like they were very 90s.
They were just having fun with it.
I guess, but
they were probably told to have fun with it once again in response to.
That's fine. I'm not disregarding them having fun with that. I think that's fine and valid. But I do think that like there's still an element of charisma and like skill in delivering these things part-time, right? Like, how about we try another take or two? Like, it's like one of those or like you got to level up redhead. Like, okay, why? What does that mean? What does that have to do with her jumping out a window without a parachute?
Because redheads are crazy.
I guess.
Yes, that's a stereotype.
I mean, I don't know. It just like there wasn't like some running theme of her being a redhead. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't like a set up payoff. Aha, redhead. It was just one off. We're gonna point out she had red hair. No. Okay. Also, it wasn't red hairs. It obviously dyed. You can't call her redhead.
Right,
maybe, I guess you can.
I want to talk about some things I like.
Okay, fine. Sorry. Go back. Yeah, let's get. Sorry, I've been dominating the negatives.
That's okay. I want to go back to negatives because I got plenty of them. All right. Things I liked. Let me count them. All right. Nicole Kidman's fish costume.
Love it. All right.
Love it. All right. Okay. Crab Man. The gruff.
Wait,
crab
like
man.
the whole crab army at the end?
Crab Man.
Oh, the one
yeah,
specific.
But that guy was the one who had lions.
I assume
brine.
he was
Crab
the
man.
king or
Good
whatever.
time.
Yeah.
Yes. Julie Andrews. Yes. Good. All right. Listen. All right. Next thing. Octopus playing the drums.
I was like, "This is a cartoon. This is," and I think if they went more into, if they leaned more into that stuff, I would have liked the film more. But then there would be like they were still too serious at parts, like especially Patrick Wilson's character.
So I mean, just obviously they have to make you try to take Aquaman seriously, though, right?
Do they though?
Yes, they can't let him continue just being a complete joke.
They can,
so they can have fun with it, but they have to push him more towards.
I think that's where it clashed for me, and that's ultimately I think the fulcrum of why it just didn't work.
Chris, they don't have to do anything.
Sorry, I keep interrupting with negatives. Keep going on your positives. Keep going. Okay.
That was it. That was all. Oh wait, no, dinosaur.
Oh well, they only have I wanted more dinosaurs.
I know all these things are
exactly.
More fish costume, more crab man.
Kind of piggybacking off of some of the stuff, good stuff. I did like I said in the middle of the film when they started doing the adventure. I'm not 100% behind it, but I did like aspects of that part. I really liked the action sequence in the Italian town. Like when they're going through the rooftops, as much as it was a big CGI explosion fest, I thought the camera work there was actually really interesting where they would like have her in the background and him in the foreground. Like to me,
No, I actually don't feel like that was that big.
Well,
of a
you're right. Comparatively, yes.
When you think about the end of the movie, it felt more like a Bourne
exactly.
movie or like
that's why I really like
Mission
those
Impossible
sequences.
movie. So I did really like those sequences as well. I also liked For Real. I mean, no, all the things I liked For Real. I'm not going to walk back on that. But like, actually, seriously, Black Manta I thought was kind of cool, and I liked
his costume and like the powers and stuff.
His tech, and I don't know. I thought he was kind of neat. I don't really like Aquaman just leaves his.
I didn't like the character motivation.
Well,
to me, it
I
didn't
mean,
work.
he even points out
then,
later on, right? That's his character growth, right? He's like, I made a mistake.
I
suppose
suppose
that's not who I want to be.
I'm just not sympathetic for
what
Black
I was
Manta.
about to say is that I don't think his character growth was authentic. I didn't feel like that was like Aquaman's like, oh crap, he's coming up for us. I guess I did the wrong thing. Like, I didn't buy that Aquaman.
I didn't buy that he felt bad about it later because he shouldn't have felt. Well, I mean, yeah, in the real world, you should feel bad about killing people. But in the world of this film, where they're pirates killing people, innocent people, I don't think he should have felt bad for not saving the one person when he killed a whole bunch of other people just then. And he continues to kill people in the future, even after supposedly, on retrospect, going, yeah, I should have saved him. And then he turns around and kills more people. Like, no, they're all bad guys.
The Murlocs? He killed the Murlocs, but those aren't people.
Well, they're part of the Seven Seas, Chris. Every nation.
Yeah,
like to me, I just was.
Aquaman doesn't seem like
exactly. So like it's like, who cares that he let his father die? His father was an awful person. He should have died. In this realm of the film, in the film universe, his father should have died, and I just didn't care that like I'm out for revenge because you let my father die, even though he blew up the submarine because he's like, who's firing a grenade launcher in a submarine? First of all, you idiot! Like that's probably a bad thing to begin with. And then also the post credits or mid credits scene to me didn't do it for me. It was just Black Manta going, "I'm gonna get him."
Next time there's gonna be carnage. I mean,
like we already established that he hated Aquaman. We're establishing it again. I don't know. Anyways, in general though, that the conflict that he provided for Aquaman and like the action stuff, I thought it was I liked all that stuff, and even the stuff with Patrick Wilson, like kind of him working for him, and I was kind of behind that stuff. That was kind of cool. What else? Also, the bad guy. I keep saying Patrick Wilson. What's his actual name?
Ocean Master.
Ocean Master. Norm.
Orm.
I'm gonna call him Norm.
Orm.
Norm
No,
from the north.
Norman was
Osborn.
the Vizier. Yeah.
Norman Osborn. He did not do it for me. Like as a villain. Like I like Patrick Wilson actor a lot. I like a lot of other things he's in. Just this villain. I don't know. I didn't ever really quite understand. I don't know. Like, he has the power of tsunamis. What does he need Aquaman? Why does he need to kill Aquaman?
He doesn't want to kill Aquaman.
Well, why does he want to stop him? Or was he, like why is he out to
Because he's
get
a
him?
threat to his throne.
How? He can provide tsunamis. He can destroy...
What? He's a threat to his throne because he's the firstborn.
I don't know.
Yeah, does he really need to unite all the
he needed to get them behind him, at least
towns?
strong arm them. Otherwise, they would have all turned against him if he had gone rogue.
But even
the emotion's real big. He should.
But
just
Amber Heard's parents or dad was already behind him. That was also confusing.
He agreed with him, but he wasn't going to just start a war unless it was like a reason.
Yeah, but then later on, you even find out that he knew that it was a fake explosion.
But he wanted that war.
So then, because
he was justifying to himself why he would go, because he
but he's not justifying to himself
because he kind of has that conscience, right? And he was kind of warring with himself.
It's Star Wars prequel politics.
Also, I felt like there was a big one thing I would have liked them to add is their father is like not their father, Nicole Kidman's betrothed, the king, whoever, Orwix, what was the king's name? He was never in the movie, but his presence was constantly felt. Patrick Wilson kept referring to him, and he was supposedly tortured Nicole Kidman, or I don't know. Like, there was just, it felt like that character, like, I wanted to actually see him. Show me flashbacks of that character. Why is Patrick Wilson like him so much? We never see him. And then, like, there was parts where if he's so hated Aquaman so much because he killed, or he felt he was responsible for Nicole Kidman's, banishment and death. But then there's a scene in the middle where he's like, no, our mom was talking treason anyway. She deserved it. Like, what? So then why do you hate Aquaman so much?
Well, Orm, like, the way I took it, and once again, this comes with a little bit of back knowledge, right, is he's kind of a torn character, right? Because he even says it in the movie. He's like, I don't want to kill you. You're my brother, right? Like, I do feel this weird connection to you that makes me not want to just flat out kill you.
I mean, the line was in there. You're right. That line was delivered, but I just didn't feel like it was really, backed up by much of the actual character stuff in the film. And one final note on that was, at the very end of the film, when his mom's just like, come on, you don't do that. And he's like, all right. Like, what? Well, he just felt like, it was just like, this isn't the way you rule a kingdom. And he's like, oh, I made a mistake, Mom. I'm sorry. Like, did anyone else feel like that was just like, he's just like, I don't know, it just like felt so silly to me.
No, I just felt like he was defeated and he accepted that. I mean, that stereotypical go out with a blaze of glory type of thing. I feel like he was smart enough of a person to just acknowledge his defeat and be like, well, nothing's going to happen here if I do anything, so I need to just accept it. That's the way I take it.
I mean, maybe I just felt like after everything he had done and like how adamant he was, it just felt like out of just like, all right, you got me because my mommy said so. Yeah,
it was a slap on the wrist. He even got a room with a view. Also,
Willem Dafoe's his big special move was he twirled his stick. One day you'll learn how to twirl his stick. Anyway, sorry, I keep poking fun.
No, it's fine. It's okay.
What else?
I stand by what I said. I enjoyed the movie, but
Chris,
also
anything that like you positives that we haven't touched on or Matt didn't touch on that you like? You talked about like adventure stuff, and I kind of agree. That was all the positives.
I talked about all of them.
There's nothing else.
All the positives. How did let me think? I talked about the drum playing.
Oh, you know what? Another thing costume that I think had a lot of potential for me, which made me kind of end up disappointed, is the world building we talked about a little bit. But when they first show Atlantis and just kind of underwater world, like at first I was like, oh, this is really cool. Although I did think it was kind of, the film itself overall was very ham-fisted and not trusting the audience with constantly showing us subtitles of where we were. Sometimes it's important. Show a giant, crazy colored underwater sea city. I don't think you need to show Atlantis. Like, we get it. That's Atlantis. That
could have been the slums of Midgard.
Yeah. Oh, that's Atlantis. I thought it was Detroit. Glad they showed us. Anyways, but when they were showing Atlantis, I'm like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. Like, obviously, it's reminiscent of other, I don't know, of Asgard or Guardians, some of the planets and stuff. But I like, oh, this is somewhat original, looks visually interesting. And if they're actually going to explore this idea that, like, there is literally a civilization under the sea equivalent to our own civilization on land, I would have loved to actually see some of that. Like, just a few couple shots of, like, Atlanteans going about their life. Like, what's their life like? Like, I don't need main characters. Just show me kind of like people cooking or eating or going about their business.
You can't have fire. This isn't SpongeBob SquarePants. You can't have fire under the sea.
Well, then that's my point. Is like, how is their life? Like, they paint this idea that, like, there's billions or millions of people living under the sea that are just like us above the sea, or above the land water, but show them then, instead of it just all about these royalties and these big gladiator arenas. Like, I wanted to just kind of see people walking around. Like, I would have loved a scene of Amber Heard and Aquaman walking around the streets of Atlantis, interacting, just like a 2 or 3 minute scene. Build character, build their relationship.
Swimming around.
Well, I don't know how it works. Do they all swim? I don't know what. That's my point. Is that, like, I didn't get a sense. It didn't feel like authentic in terms of how this world worked. But there, to me, felt like there was potential there. Like there was a lot of potential that ultimately I was disappointed that they didn't spend any time on. I don't know if that was just me. I don't know. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
I
exactly.
agree.
Hollow is a good word for it.
Little hollow. Like in Phantom Menace when they're like when the queen's like
exactly
people are dying.
Exactly.
And, like, does
like
live
you have all these shots of like crazy sea boat, submarine lights and stuff, but is anyone in those buildings or living? Like, what's a job in Atlantis? What do people do?
Maybe when the 3-hour director's cut comes out.
And like he's so obsessed with like they're throwing their trash in our water. Well, what do you guys do with your trash? You gotta have trash, right?
They're advanced. They probably have a means of eliminating it right away.
Well, then show us that. Like, I think the comparisons have been made, but I think that rightly so. Like, it's very similar in a lot of ways to Black Panther, and I felt like Black Panther they did a little bit of that. Like they walked around Wakanda, like kind of showing a little bit of what the actual city's like and what the people are like, right? Like things like that is all I'm saying. Is like I felt it missed some of that grounded opportunity. It doesn't have to be. I'm not saying realistic, dark, gritty, grounded. It could still be wacky octopus. Show me an octopus playing drums on the streets as a busker. You know, like things like that. Like that would be great. I'd love to see that.
That octopus is special. That's his buddy from the cartoon, the old cartoon. That's his buddy.
Like, are octopus sentient? Are they one of the races? Because all the other sea creatures weren't sentient. And
octopuses are very smart creatures. All right.
Well, that is true.
They are. Yeah, they are. They escape. They do all kinds of stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah.
All the other,
maybe that's
one.
Maybe one of them was
like weird fish people. So who knows?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I want to bring up a new topic here if there's a break.
James
here.
Wan.
Okay, so this thing was directed by James Wan, and who's got a horror background, and I feel like that was both to the benefit and the detriment of this movie, because I feel like there's a lot of parts in the movie that were very visual. Like,
oh yeah, I actually love
the part
that
comes
shot.
to mind is when they jump off
great.
the boat, and there's like the fish
that was
zombies,
great.
and there's the shot, the wide shot, and then the spiral. There's a lot of stuff like that where like his horror sensibilities I feel like are like help the movie a lot. But then like, did it feel like this movie had a lot of?
I felt like they tried to have a lot of jump scares. Yes, yeah.
Right, there were so many scenes where two people are talking.
Yeah,
and then
no, I definitely
happens.
noticed that. I mean, even in.
I thought that was so weird. I mean, like, I'm watching an action movie and, like, fine, I guess, but, like, why is this keep happening? Why am I keep being startled in this movie? I didn't know that that's what this movie was going to be. And, like, another scene where his horror stuff works well is when he's in the depths trying to get the trident and Julie Andrews is trying to kill him. Like, that, great, yeah, because it's dark and murky and, like, you can't see everything and it, that's one of the rules of, like, making horror movies is, like, your imagination fills in the blanks. So, the unseen is scarier than the seen, right? That kind of stuff works, but just, like, I think that the jump scare explosion
No, I agree.
Like 6 or 7 times throughout the movie,
definitely noticed that, too.
To be fair, even Spider-Man had jump scares.
I mean, maybe jump scare is not the right word for it, I suppose.
Well,
Into the Spider-Verse.
Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Which Spider-Man? Well, I mean, if we're talking about that, Sam Raimi had a horror background, and that really showed in the first 2 movies. I'm trying to think if there was a lot of that influence in Spider-Man 3. I don't, maybe a little bit, but like the scene in the first Spider-Man movie where Green Goblin goes to steal Aunt May and like her hair's blowing and he's
or when the mask is
wall.
teaching
like,
or talking to him,
talking
to Osborn.
The scene in Spider-Man. Yes, yeah, that's that, and then the scene in the second movie where the doctors are trying to cut the arms off of Doc Ock, like that was all filmed like it was a horror movie, and like that was his horror background being like influencing Spider-Man movies, and I thought it worked.
I think to
really
me
well
the what worked well was some of the visual stuff,
but I think it was a little bit
for James Wan in terms of his background. But yeah, I mean the jump scares or the moments that were kind of those toaster moments just did feel kind of weird. I will, and there were moments too where like I as I was watching this, I was trying to like it. I like that sounds condescending, but I like was like I'm trying to like this. I don't want to be like a DC hater just because you know what. So I was looking into things, and there's like early on there's the Lovecraft book in his father's house, and I was like, oh, I know that book, and that book is, or that story is about like the sea creatures that come up on land and invade this village, and by the end of the story, they're all this sea creature that are living in this village. It's kind of about them assimilating the humans and becoming these horrors themselves, and like, oh, there's some meaning there, and by the end of the film, I'm like, I don't care anymore. Like it was just like it kept wearing at me, and as much as I was trying to find like, oh, that meant this, or that visual, you know, kind of metaphor, or this symmetry here, and I was just like, no, just more CGI and Patrick Wilson yelling, "I'm the Ocean Master." I can't. I'm not going to look into that any more than I need to. Yeah, it was two and a half hours. Like if it was an hour and a half, I would have been up. I was like, yeah, I don't care. It was stupid. It was fun, but it just kept going. And who, like the last battle? Who were we supposed to root for? Not with Aquaman. Obviously, we root for Aquaman, but between the crabs and the humans,
probably the crabs.
Were we? I guess. Yeah,
I don't know. That's why. That's why it's.
Why wouldn't you root for the crabs?
Because we were just introduced to them 2 seconds ago. Why do I care about these people?
Because they're not the invading army.
But that doesn't necessarily mean like you root for. Like, I gotta at least give me like more than just like, because it's not like the Atlanteans were bad. It wasn't like they were all evil people and we want to see them die. It wasn't
okay,
like
but if you were to watch a movie right now. And
that's crazy talk.
if you were to watch a movie right now and it was a bunch of people attacking Italians, you would feel bad for the Italians, right?
It's weirdly specific, but I mean, I guess
because we have that. We just know, Italy, they're not aggressive assholes. They're just kind of assholes. So
I mean, I'm just saying that in the context of a film, when you have been following the Atlanteans up until now. Mm-hmm. And then you just introduce a random thing. Like, it would be one thing if it was in the middle of the movie as like, when they conquered the other people. Like, they conquered the mer people. I don't know what they're called.
The Smarties?
Yeah, I was like, okay, I get that. This is a treacherous, bad thing. I don't necessarily sympathize with these mer people, but I get, for the plot reasons, the purpose of the scene, and it's showing the threat of the Atlanteans, or at least Patrick Wilson's army. But when they don't just like show this for a plot beat, but turn it into this grand battle spectacle, it changes the purpose of that scene. It no longer is just a plot development. It's now a big tentpole moment that has no emotion behind it, because I don't care. Like, I don't care if these crab people die. They're freaking crab people. That one guy has a cool voice, but like,
well, I think the tension.
I am racist against crab people. I'll say it.
That's mean,
Mr. Krabs. No. I mean, I think the tension of that scene is once he gets rid of that army or whatever, it simulates what's left of that army to his. Then he attacks the surface.
I get the ramifications. I'm just saying, in terms of turning it into a gigantic battle scene as it was,
it was The Last Stand.
I kind of was it, I guess, because it was The Last Stand was Aquaman turning the sea creatures on him.
But as far as everybody else was concerned, he wasn't involved anymore.
Yeah, right? But we knew. Like, that's what I'm saying. For the audience, there's no emotion behind that big battle. Because the main characters are like, yeah, we don't care. Aquaman's not here. Why do I care about this? But then when Aquaman gets like, okay, now I'm kind of into this. Do you get what I'm saying? Just like from a like,
no, because you're ranting like a madman.
Also, as much as we talked about,
You can't see how red in the face Sean is right now.
Nobody's going to.
He is so red in the face.
If you agree with
I'm just. Yeah, you're so close to me, Chris.
Oh, I forgot you guys were next to each other.
Also, like,
I forgot you guys are in the same group. That's hilarious.
Yes, we are sharing.
And you guys are sharing.
Also, how did they get out of the nether realm at the core of the Earth's core? They went to the Earth's core. Yes. How did, like, because Nicole Kidman specifically says, it's a portal. I can't go back out of that portal. And the next scene, they're out of the portal.
Right, because I assume it has to be a magic portal that warped them to the planet core, right? Because otherwise, to swim even as fast as they swim, that would be like swimming across the entire planet. Like that would be a really, really long swim to swim to the planet core. But then, did they take Julie Andrews out of the planet core?
Right,
through
she
the portal,
showed up
or
again.
did they swim
and she was
back
at the
out
end.
And burst through every layer of
right?
the Earth?
That was her. That wasn't the other crab thing, right?
No, that was her.
Okay. So that's how do they get out of the planet core?
Magic.
Oh,
I mean, it's the trident. The trident, because as they came back up through the portal, he also then with the trident was able to get the Murlocs on his side, right? Because they all bow to the one true king.
I guess.
Wait, so no, I just want to make sure that I understand what you're saying. You're saying that
I'm saying he went through the portal that he already did.
A portal to Atlantis.
Did he?
What you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I'm not disagreeing with that. I missed that.
Okay.
Well, the movie doesn't really show you anything other than he's down there.
The
okay, now he's underneath this battle somehow.
Yeah. It doesn't really...
Look, I guess for the flow of the movie...
I guess my point is that they had established... They had a line specifically saying, we can't just go out this portal... Just take out that line if you're not going to follow up on it.
Well, I think the reason they couldn't just go out that portal was because the Murloc people were there, right? And
are the Murloc the Sahagan weird?
Yeah, whatever those things are.
Okay.
Like those monsters were there, right? And they were in mass and stuff like that. So without the trident, they couldn't just go out because they would just be devoured, right? But once he had the
Oh wait, so the trident wasn't like a key?
Was the trident anything? Because I kept thinking, or was it just a symbol?
It's a little bit. It's obviously magic, but it's also a symbol, right? He who possesses it is the king of the seas. So,
I mean,
if somebody possesses that one trident, then all creatures of the sea essentially bow down to that person.
I get and this is going back to the theme, yeah, maybe your civilization doesn't deserve to be around if it's dependent on a magic trident to show who rules.
It wasn't, because remember that trident had been lost forever, and they had developed their own hierarchy. It was just the reemergence of that trident.
Yes. Also, why did Amber Heard need diplomatic immunity?
For what?
To swim in the water. She has a line. She's like, "Don't worry, I got diplomatic immunity."
She said that. Don't worry, I've got it. That seems like the kind of dialogue that
was it while she was breaking the law?
No, when they first went to Atlantis. Yeah, the Bifrost.
Oh, because they weren't being stopped.
Bridge.
But why does she need diplomatic immunity?
Because diplomatic immunity made it so they wouldn't get stopped and checked.
But I mean, doesn't she live there?
No, her father and her are from a different kingdom.
Oh. But then why was she on the throne with Patrick Wilson?
Because he had a thing for her.
Yeah, that was a...
Man, remember her fish prom dress? I forgot that one too.
There were
her jellyfish
I feel like I'm learning a lot about you.
How do the physics of merperson work? Do they float?
Merperson? Like
an Atlantean.
They can swim or they can walk on any surface.
I'm just saying,
No, I am because
please only
when
draw your answers
Orm
from
first
the
meets
text
up
of the
with
film.
Mira's father in the beginning, they go to the center of the thing and they start off walking on the ground, kind of talking.
Yeah,
and then they swim up.
So can they control their body's density? Is that what they let out air? Do they?
No,
they don't have air.
I don't know the science of it.
But I guess what I'm saying is, at the beginning, Nicole Kidman is found floating in the ocean surface. Why would that happen?
Because she was unconscious. So that's
what I'm saying. So anytime an Atlantean just falls unconscious.
Oh my god.
All right, look. There's a lot of tension between the two of you.
I totally am, and
I
completely. But it's a cycle. It's just the ball has started rolling.
I'm not even defending the movie that hard. Why?
I'm not.
Jeez.
These honestly are not what I feel are why I dislike the film. They are questions.
You just thought it was important to bring up.
Yes.
Right here.
When else am I going to bring this? Is why we started this podcast, Chris. Yeah. Well, anything else? Any other thoughts? Just in general. I mean, is there anything we didn't touch upon? You know what? Okay, there is another thing that legitimately I did not like. That the whole time was the music. I did not like the music in this film.
Why?
To me.
Oh, really?
There was a few. Okay, so there was a few parts with that electro stuff, and I think it was near the end.
I don't know. That was neat.
That I enjoyed. Yes. Yeah.
The Italian chase,
the kind of synth stuff,
part of the big CGI battle.
That stuff was good, but I think everything else
I don't know what genre
was
that is,
so.
I thought that was awesome.
Just
I wish
getting
more of that.
Bludgeoned over the head with a blunt instrument, especially the relationship stuff. Anytime when they look at them, they're quirky, they're gonna get together, and it plays that music, or it's just like watch any scene and just pay attention to the music and how overbearing it is. It was just like, this is the emotion that you should be feeling, audience. Feel this emotion right now. Feel it. That's what the music was to me.
Okay, but thank you for bringing this up because I remind another thing to add in the positive list.
You like? All right. I won't argue that.
He likes the thing that he prefaces with that stupid cover.
That shot the moon. That shot the moon and it landed on
They only played a couple seconds of it, though.
Why was that song even there?
Because they were in Africa. That's my point. It was just so heavy-handed. It's like, hey, they're in Africa now. Hey, what's a song? Hey, Africa! But that's too old-fashioned. Oh, isn't Pitbull's a guy?
That's popular with the kids.
That's what I mean. It was just like so, just heavy-handed.
This is that there's
Aquaman,
an Africa cover featuring Pitbull on the soundtrack to Aquaman. I would like to follow up my statement from last podcast.
If there is any doubt,
living in the darkest timeline.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm glad I remember that because that I like, and I'm not just saying that to heap on, but I do think that it did detract from me. I'm not even normally a big music person, but I could not help but notice the music in this. Anyways, anything else though? Anything else we didn't touch on? Chris, what's another one of your favorite things of this movie?
No.
Yeah, you will not be patronized by me. Well, I will say, like I said, I did not think it was a bad movie. I don't think it was a awfully made movie. It was a movie. It was light years ahead of Suicide Squad and Fantastic Four. It wasn't in that realm of bad. I just didn't like it.
No. I mean, the thing is that I think it speaks for how low the bar is for the DCU, but I think this probably is my second favorite after Wonder Woman. I mean, it's far down, like, Wonder Woman at the top and then go really far down, and then the next one there is Aquaman. Probably. But, I mean, I think you saying, like, oh, you didn't enjoy any movie less than this one this year?
Yeah, that was maybe extreme. Like, because I saw Slender Man, and and that was bad. Okay, so you're right. That was pretty outlandish. It wasn't that, unenjoyable. But in terms of, like, all the films we've talked about on this show, I think I can't say a film I've enjoyed less than I think that we've talked about anyway. I still think that's actually I'll have to think of, in our end of year recap. I'll have to come down on a decision.
That low of Aquaman.
I don't think it's as stupid of a movie or as poorly of a made of a movie. But in terms of my enjoyment of they're very similar.
But you can't decide between Jurassic World 2
I can't decide which
Aquaman.
I disliked more. I'm not saying what is a worse movie. Jurassic World, I think, is a worse movie. But I can't decide what I disliked more. At least not right now.
That is equally as insulting.
Why? I'm just being honest. You can't always account for taste. And sometimes, I don't know. I'll get back on our end-of-year recap. I'll give you my definitive answer. Stay tuned, folks.
That's the number one topic. We're going to save that for the very end of the show.
Oh boy.
All right, Sean.
It's going to be cool.
Which was the worst? Which movie did you enjoy less? Jurassic World 2 or Aquaman?
Yeah, stay tuned. Well, yeah, I think that about does it for Aquaman. I already said any other thoughts. We will try to do another episode before our end of year recap. I think the timing will be tricky. We'll see when we have time to do. What? Bumblebee or Mary Poppins.
What
I would
episode
assume.
would that be?
I mean, I'm down with either of those. I don't really want to see Bumblebee.
Yeah.
I'll see any movie, but
Yeah, we know.
but I would not be as motivated to see that film if it wasn't for the reviews.
If you are willing to sit through The Room more than once, then I think you fall into the category you are willing to see any movie.
Either of those, I think, would be good. We could do an episode on that, and then hopefully early in the new year we'll wrap up all of 2018 and a nice little package for you for a post-Christmas holiday gift, a Three Kings Day gift.
We should make sure that we get all of YumChunks for that one.
And we could try to do that.
Yay!
It was a bummer we couldn't get Ryan and Vince on tonight. I'm sure they would have had lots of thoughts for Aquaman as well.
They are also just fed up with DC and refuse to be a part of this game that we play anymore.
Yeah. What is the next DC film, by the way?
The next is Shazam.
Actually, I am actually looking forward to that one.
Shazam.
You're looking forward to seeing him floss, aren't you?
A little bit.
Look at that guy.
No, that trailer did it for me. I'm behind that trailer. Like, I don't want to get my hopes up, but I'm excited. That's March, or much later.
I thought it was April or May.
Maybe, yeah.
But no, I don't know much about that villain. And
I don't know much about the hero.
They
either.
awkwardly backed away from Black Adam at the last minute, which was going to be The Rock, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Huh. All right. Well, okay. Maybe the DC universe still has a glimmer of something.
We kind of talked about this last time, but we kind of feel bad for them because clearly they were hoping on
Yes.
a bid on some alternate universe shenanigans to kind of reboot this thing without having to ditch all their stars that they like. But now they would just look like they're copying everybody else again.
I think we kind of have to cut our losses at this point. I think we need to accept that, like, DC Universe as intended, like trying to be like the Marvel
they just need to
universe
find their own identity.
Their own identity is 7.
I mean, like
individual
we keep.
That's not an identity you want.
That's what they're putting all their money in.
People like the Joker, right? Joker. Yeah, the Joker. What about Batman? No, they hated the Ben Affleck Batman. All right, just the Joker.
Like one of
they also hated the Jared Leto. Just, it doesn't matter. Throw another Joker.
We'll just do 3 different Jokers.
Joaquin Phoenix, he's a weirdo, right? Put him as a Joker. All right. Well, thanks for listening in, everybody, and staying after the credits to hear our Aquaman thoughts. Write us with your thoughts on Aquaman if you thought I was too critical or just the right amount of critical. Let us know, and let us know about stuff for 2018. What some of your favorites and least favorite things for 2018 were, because maybe we'll talk about those things when we do our end of year stuff. So,
my least favorite thing was them announcing a live action adaptation of Avatar.
We did a whole episode on that. Anyways, have a good day or morning or night. Whenever you listen to this, have a good that.
Leave a room with a view.
Bye, everyone.